Thank you. Would you please state your name for the record?
Laura Knapp,
And would you please spell your last name?
Knapp.
Ma'am, are you currently employed?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you currently employed?
Yes, I am.
Do you have the same employer now that you did in 2007?
No, a different one.
Where were you employed at in 2007?
Northgate Apartments, Minot.
And what did you do there?
Resident manager of apartment complex.
And what does it mean to be a resident manager of that apartment complex?
What did I do there?
Yes.
Leases, showing apartments, deposits, help maintenance guys.
How long did you hold that position?
16 years.
And what years were those?
I'm sorry, what?
What were the dates, the years for those?
I still didn't catch that.
You said you worked there for 16 years. What were
Yes.
the dates?
Yeah, 16 years I worked there.
Okay. Starting what year and ending what year?
Probably about 1989, somewhere in there, until 2012.
Okay. And what was the address of the Northgate Apartments?
It started at 2400 4th Street Northwest,
Okay. And that's in what city?
Minot, North Dakota.
Do you recall a lease with regards to an individual by the name of Anita Knutson?
Yes.
Okay. And was anybody else on that lease with her?
The last one.
Was anybody else on that lease with her?
Nichole Rice.
Okay. What was the apartment number of that apartment?
It was 2420, number 5.
And could you describe that apartment for us? How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms?
2 bedrooms, 1 bath.
Okay. And could you describe the building that it was in?
Did I what?
Could you please describe the building that that apartment was in?
It was a building that had 8 apartments, 4 on the north side and 4 on the south side.
Okay. And which side was number 5 on?
North side, I believe.
Okay. I'm going to draw your attention to June 4th of 2007. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
Okay. What did you do that day?
Went to work.
Okay.
Did the normal duties, probably work in apartments or get an apartment ready for showing, because it's beginning of the month. Just a daily routine.
Okay. And when you were done with work that day, what did you do?
Went up to my apartment.
Okay. Now, is your apartment also at Northgate?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And why is that?
I was the resident manager.
Okay. Was that something that was part of your employment?
Yes, it was.
Okay. When you went home at the end of the day, what did you do?
Went up to my apartment, by cleaning up from the day of like leases or what I had laying there, preparing dinner.
Okay. Did anything of note happen while you were preparing dinner?
I'm sorry, what?
Did anything of note happen while you were preparing dinner?
Something that happened.
Yeah.
There was a knock at the door. My maintenance guy answered the door because I was like busy, like preparing dinner.
Okay.
He told me that I needed to come to the door. I went to the door, and a gentleman was standing there and said that tried to get a hold of his daughter for several days, him and his wife. Asked if he could have a key to get into the apartment. I told him I couldn't give him a key, but I could go down there and open up the apartment for him.
And what did you do?
When I got my keys and we proceeded down to the apartment.
Okay. And which apartment was it that he needed opened up?
2420 4th Street Northwest, apartment number 5.
Okay. Did you ever get this gentleman's name?
Gordon.
Okay. And you went to that apartment with Gordon. What did you do next?
I remember going to the door, and it seemed like it was locked because it wouldn't turn the knob. So I grabbed my keys and opened the door. Well, it clicked. It was like a little hard, but it clicked, so I knew it was locked, and gained entrance into the apartment.
Okay. Once you unlocked the door, what did you do?
Gordon went in first, and I followed behind him. And he went down towards the bedroom, and I stood in the kitchen area where I could see the bedroom door, or the bedroom area.
And then what did you see next?
Gordon coming out, and saying we need to call the police department.
Okay. And did you call the police?
I can't remember if it was myself or Gordon called the police, but one of us did.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that your maintenance man answered your door to your apartment.
Yes.
Who is the maintenance man?
Marty and Elle.
Okay. And why was Marty in your apartment?
We lived together.
Okay. You were romantically involved?
Yes.
Okay. For approximately how long?
About 10 years.
Okay. Now, you said Marty was the maintenance man. How long had he worked for Northgate Apartments as the maintenance man?
Probably almost 2 years.
And Marty lived with you, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Was living in the apartment part of Marty's compensation package from the apartments like it was yours?
Yeah, I guess basically probably. The owner knew he was living there.
Okay. But the apartment was for the resident manager, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you said that Marty lived with you. Had you seen Marty earlier that day?
Yeah, we worked together that day.
Okay. What all did you all do together?
Worked, shopped, met up with friends once in a while at night.
Okay. With the two of you working together, were you working side by side? Were you working apart? How did that work?
And together.
Okay. And were there ever periods of time when you're working together that you and Marty were not within each other's eyesight?
Not really.
Now, you said not really. What does that
if
mean?
I was like cleaning and I needed maintenance done, the toilet fixed or a patch in the wall, he did that while we were still in the same apartment, in the same area working together.
Now, you said that you and Marty lived together about 10 years. What was your relationship?
He was my fiance.
What were Marty's duties at Northgate Apartments?
Duties of a maintenance guy, repairing, lawn work. I guess that's basically it, repairing things.
Okay. When Marty would repair things, what would he do with them?
If it was something in, like if it's a toilet in an apartment, and he did it right there.
What if it was something that couldn't be repaired in the apartment?
Screens.
Okay. What would he do with those?
They would go to the shop.
Okay. And there was a shop? Where was the shop located?
On the same grounds.
Okay. On the date that Gordon came knocking on your door and asked you to let him into Anita's apartment, was there something that needed repaired for that apartment?
A screen.
Okay. Did you see the screen?
After we got taken into the shop, yes.
Okay. Can you describe the screen?
The frame was bent, and there was a cut in it.
Okay. Was it, can you describe the cut?
No, not really. I just know it was slashed.
Okay. And it was in the shop, correct?
Yes.
All right. Who put it in the shop, to your knowledge?
Maintenance guy, Marty.
And do you know when it was placed in the shop?
That morning when he walked through to, there's laundry rooms up there in between the units, and we would lock them up at night to prevent vandalism, and then they would get reopened up in the morning.
Okay. Can you describe the kind of screens that were at the apartments at Northgate?
The frames were probably like aluminum. They were easy to bend.
Okay. Were these expensive screens or?
Probably what a general screen would just be in an apartment.
Can you please describe the locks that were on the doors at the apartments at Northgate?
Bolt locks.
Okay. And what does that mean to you?
You had to have a key to entrance and to leave the apartment to have it locked.
So you couldn't just pull it shut behind you and it would lock?
No. You had to have the key to do it.
Were the locks changed in those apartments when people moved out?
Yes.
And what was the practice for doing that?
It was Shooks that came up and changed them.
Okay. And
Or-
Shooks is a lock company?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shooks Locksmith. That's where we got our locks from.
Okay. And what would they do with the old locks when they'd take them off the doors?
We would keep them once in a while. If they were damaged, they went in the garbage.
Okay. Were locks ever recycled on doors?
Once in a while they were.
Okay. And was there ever a record that was kept of what lock got recycled onto what new door?
No.
Can you describe the keys to those locks?
What do you mean describe the key?
What was the key like physically?
It was probably about an inch wide on top. They were like heavy duty keys.
Okay. Are these the kinds of keys that could be, well, let me ask a different question first off. How many keys were given out to apartment number 5 when Anita Knutson and Nichole Thomas were living in that apartment?
2.
Okay. And why is that?
That's for how many tenants are in that apartment. That's how many keys are issued out.
What was the policy with regards to copying of keys?
You couldn't.
Okay. It wasn't allowed?
No.
All right. Was it possible to copy keys?
No.
Okay. And why is that?
Because they were from the locksmith, and you had to have permission to have them made. And there was only a certain amount of people that could get those keys made.
Okay. In that time frame at 2007, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And could somebody just take that key to Shook's Locks and get that made without you knowing about it?
No.
Objection, Your Honor, calls for
No.
speculation.
Overruled.
Okay, you can answer that.
I'm sorry, what?
You could answer the question.
No, there was only certain people on the list that could get those keys made.
Okay. And who were those people?
Myself and the owner, I know for sure.
Okay. And was a record kept if copies of those keys were requested?
I'm sorry, what?
Was there a record kept if copies of keys for an apartment were requested?
No.
Okay. Are you aware of whether or not keys were made for number 5, copies of keys?
I don't think so.
Okay. You never handled any request for a copy. Is that fair
No.
to say?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I misunderstood your question.
Oh, that's okay. It's okay. If you don't understand me, just tell me, okay? All right. And why was it that it had to go through management or ownership to get a key copy made?
That's the only way you could get a key made.
Was there a fee associated with it?
I'm sorry, what?
Was there a fee associated with that?
If there was a last key, yes.
Okay. Now you said that Marty would do a walkthrough of the apartment complex. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. How often did he do that?
Well, it's ever who wasn't busy or whatever. And we did it in the morning, and we did it about 10 o'clock every night,
Okay. About what time in the morning?
between 7 and 8.
Were you with Marty when he found the screen that he put in his shop?
No, he went and did the walkthrough himself.
Okay. How long was Marty away from you at the time that he did that walkthrough?
It only probably takes about 10 minutes.
And did you inspect the window that this screen may have come from yourself?
No, I just knew that when he brought the screen in, he told me what apartment it was.
Okay. Now, Marty is no longer employed with Northgate, is that right?
No.
When did Marty's employment there end?
New Year's Day on 2009.
That's pretty specific. Why do you know that?
It's when he committed suicide.
What was going on in Marty's life at that time?
There was a few things. He didn't get a job that he wanted. He wasn't happy with the job he had. He was diagnosed possible with Parkinson's disease. He lost a nephew or a niece that he was very fond of. I guess basically his family that was here moved away.
Was there anything going on in your relationship?
I thought everything was good.
Okay. You said that he'd lost a niece that he was very fond of. How long before Marty passed away had that happened?
Probably a few months. Don't know the exact date.
Okay. Did Marty have health insurance?
No, we didn't.
And you said his family moved away. Where'd they move to?
His mother moved to Animus to be closer to her sisters because they were all getting up in age. And he had a sister that moved to Minneapolis.
Okay. Was Marty close to his family?
Yes.
What were holidays like for Marty's family?
Well, I guess we always spent Thanksgiving and Christmas, those two main ones, all together as a family.
And so Thanksgiving and Christmas of 2008, which would have been the holidays just before Marty's suicide,
Yes.
did you spend those with Marty's family?
No.
What was Marty's relationship with alcohol like?
I drink like by everybody else.
Did he drink?
Yeah, I'm like after work or whatever, or like on a Friday, we'll go have a few drinks.
Okay. And what did you notice of his drinking in the time period leading up to when he committed suicide?
I didn't really see no difference.
Laura, did Marty own a knife?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I never seen one.
Okay. And you lived with him for 10 years?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Mr. Sand? Thank you, Your Honor. Questions? Ms. Knapp, thanks for coming in today. So just to clear a couple things up, you said you had been working at these apartments for 16 years, but then you said 1989 to 2012. I just want to make sure I got that right.
I'm estimating, I'm not sure. Oh, wait, no, I worked there longer than that.
Okay. That would be 23 years by my math, but
Yeah, I was going to say, all I know was 16 years.
okay, but so we're not sure of the dates.
Well, not when I started, but when I left there, yes.
So 2012 is when you left.
Yes.
Okay. When did you start dating Marty?
I don't know the exact year.
Can you give me a ballpark?
I about 1998, 1999.
Okay. And I am not trying to say anything negative about the dead, but I'm going to ask you, did Marty ever use drugs that you know of?
No.
You sure?
Yeah, and
Okay. But
we
he
were
drank?
together for like 10 years.
But he drank?
I'm sorry, what?
But he did drink, you said earlier?
Well, like on a Friday night when, like the end of the week, yes.
Okay. And now you said that Marty was the maintenance man, correct?
Yes.
And you were the general manager of the apartments?
I was the resident manager.
Resident manager. And you said Marty didn't have a knife?
I'm sorry, what?
You had said Marty didn't have a knife?
No,
Did he ever have to use tools in his job, do you know?
yes, there'd be like a carpenter knife, a box knife.
Okay, but a
But
knife.
he never carried it with him. It was only during work hours.
Okay. Okay. That was Marty working the day that Anita's body was discovered?
Yes.
Okay. Did you talk to Marty at all about what happened to Anita?
No,
You guys didn't discuss it?
no. I just bought the screen that needed to be repaired or whatever. No, we didn't discuss Anita's body or nothing like that.
So after you went in to the apartment with Mr. Knutson and Marty and you found Anita's dead body, you guys didn't discuss that at all? There was no talk about it?
No.
Okay. Now, the state's attorney had asked you about this screen that had been slashed, correct?
Yes.
When's the first time you saw that screen?
That morning when I was in the shop.
You were in the shop with Marty?
Yes.
Okay. Where was the screen? In the shop?
Yes.
Okay. And you were in there with Marty, correct?
Yes.
How did the screen get in the shop? Did Marty bring it in there?
He picked it up and brought it into the shop.
Do you know where he found it?
He said outside that window.
Okay. Did Marty talk to you about a curtain or rods at all being outside that window?
No.
He didn't tell you that he threw a curtain rod and curtains back into the window?
No, there was no mention of a curtain rod or a curtain.
Okay. Do you know where specifically on the property this screen was when Marty picked it up or wherever, however he got it to the shop?
Towards the sidewalk.
Do you remember talking to police officers at all?
Well, like up at the apartments?
Yeah, after Anita's death. Were you interviewed by police?
I don't recall really talking to
You were
the
interviewed
police
by Detective Plessis on June 6th. Do you recall that?
I'm sorry, what?
You were interviewed by Detective Plessis on June 6th. Do you recall that?
Down at the police station, yes,
Yeah.
but not up at the apartments.
Okay, thank you. Do you recall Detective Plessis discussing the lock with you?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you recall Detective Plessis discussing the lock with you? I apologize if you're having trouble here.
No, I don't.
No? If I showed you a transcript of the interview you had with Detective Plessis, might that help you refresh your recollection?
Could?
Okay.
When I said that because the door was like
Stop
sticking.
talking, ma'am, please. Ma'am, you have to wait for him to ask you a question.
Oh.
Have you had a chance to read through that, to review it? Ms. Knapp, have you had a chance to read?
Yes, I'm
It's just that
trying.
section.
Yeah, I'm just trying to catch this.
Okay. Now, Ms. Knapp, after reviewing that, do you recall what you said to Mr. Plessis when he asked you if the door was locked for sure?
Yeah, it was sometimes those doors stick. I don't know if it's
Okay.
because of the dirt or whatever.
Thank you.
Stick,
Thank
but
you.
then
I appreciate it.
I heard it click.
Do you remember calling Detective Goodman about a tip from the landing bar?
What?
Do you remember calling Detective Goodman about a tip you had heard at the landing bar in Minot?
No,
You don't.
no.
Those are the only questions I have, Your Honor. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Knapp.
Ms. Sorgan, do you have any redirect, ma'am?
Just briefly. Laura, Mr. Sand asked you about an interview on June 6th at the police department, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Was that with Officer Plessis or Detective Goodman?
I don't recall what officer it was.
Okay. And Mr. Sand asked you about when you first saw the screen in the shop with Marty. What drew your attention to the screen?
What was the what screen?
What drew your attention to the screen that you noticed it?
He showed it to me
Marty pointed it out to you?
in the shop, yeah.
Okay.
He says, I put the screen over here.
Okay. And Mr. Sand asked you about the statement that you had made about sometimes the door sticks, but you had some additional information to add on that, correct?
Yes.
And what is that?
Once in a while, the doors do stick because of the wind blowing in with debris, dirt, dust. But after you work it a bit, it'll click, then you know it's unlocked.
Okay. Now, to clarify, did you try the door without putting a key in it first on June 4th?
Yes.
Okay. And you were aware that the doors sometimes stick. Did you take that into account when you tried to open it?
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Sustained.
Okay. How much effort did you put in before you started using a key?
I'm sorry, what?
How much effort did you put into opening the door before you started using a key?
I turned the knob, whatever, and they didn't want to. That's how I knew it was locked. I put the key in, jiggled it a little bit, and then it clicked. And then I turned the knob, and the door opened.
Okay. What did you hear when you used the key?
The click,
Okay. And what did that mean to you?
the door was Unlocked.
The door was unlocked once you had used the key.
After I used the key, yes.
Okay. Thank you. I have nothing further.
Mr. Sand?
Just briefly, Your Honor, so the state just asked you about you seeing the screen, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's marked as Defense Exhibit 1.
Okay.
Actually, that would be defense A.
Is that the screen that you recall seeing?
No, I don't recall exactly if it's that screen or not, because I'm not sure if that's our shop.
I'm going to show this to you one more time, Ms. Knapp. Take a good look at it. Does that look like your shop and the screen that was in it?
I don't recall how the shop was really set up. I don't know if that was in our shop.
So do you remember the screen? And if you don't remember all the events of that day, that's okay. But does that look like the screen in the shop that you saw with Marty that morning?
If we're going to talk about this exhibit, it should be offered, Mr. Sand.
I am offering it, Your Honor.
Permission
Are
of
we
voir dire the
leaving it
witness
one
with.
or A? Should be A.
I have it marked as 1, but I can mark it as A, if Your Honor, if that's
It'll
what
be
we're doing.
Defense Exhibit A. Ms. Sorgan, is there any objection?
May I voir dire the witness with regards to the exhibit, Your Honor?
Have you seen the exhibit?
Briefly.
All right, you may.
Okay. Ms. Knapp, were you present when that photograph was taken?
I'm sorry, what?
Were you present when that photograph was taken?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Foundation, Your Honor.
Mr. Sand?
I'm simply asking if she, I'll withdraw it and get it in later, Your Honor, but I'm simply asking if she
You've offered
recognizes this screen.
the exhibit. Are you withdrawing your offer of the exhibit?
If we're questioning the witness, I'd like to ask her a couple more questions if the state's.
I'm not talking about the witness. I'm talking about, are you voir diring more for the exhibit, or you got other questions?
I'm asking in voir dire if you have seen that screen, if that's the screen that you have knowledge of.
I know our screens had a white frame.
Again, I'm going to stop you, Mr. Sand. If we're talking about this exhibit, it has to be in. She's objected. Foundation. Do you have a response to the foundation?
I am continuing the voir dire that she began to try to establish foundation, Your Honor. Is that all right?
It is, but not with regard to whether she recognizes the screen or not.
Okay. Does this look like the shop?
Your Honor, objection.
I will withdraw it and try to get it in later then, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you very much. Ms. Knapp, you recall looking at the screen you said earlier.
Yes, I glanced over at it, yes.
Okay. What do you recall that it looked like?
The frame was bent and there was a slash in it.
Okay. Do you remember what the slash looked like?
No, I just know it was cut.
Okay. Do you know if it was cut more than once?
Objection. Asked and answered. She doesn't remember.
I didn't ask.
Overruled, not asked and answered.
Sorry, Your Honor.
You can answer it, ma'am. Do you know if it was cut more than once?
I don't recall that, if it was or not.
Okay. Now I'm going to move back to Marty. And I know this is probably difficult for you to discuss, but so you had testified earlier Marty committed suicide on New Year's Eve.
Objection beyond scope of redirect.
Mr. Sand?
I'll withdraw, Your Honor. No further questions. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Sorgan, is this witness here by subpoena?
She is, Your Honor.
Is she excused from that subpoena?
She is, Your Honor.
Any objections, Mr. Sand?
Yeah, we would like to keep her under the state subpoena, Your Honor.
The state is releasing her from her subpoena.
You want to keep her under your subpoena?
We do not have a subpoena on her right now.
Then she's free to come and go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You may come and go as you please, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have another witness, Ms. Sorgan?